Welcome to this news edition on Equinoxe Television. I am Babli Jonathan. In our top stories in this edition of the news, we're going to show you the deplorable and precarious conditions in which many pupils are learning in several schools across the Republic of Cameroon in both urban and rural areas. A case in point in this newscast is Government Primary School Ngwele in the Douala 4 subdivision, where the Minister of Basic Education of the Republic of Cameroon, Professor Laurent Serge Tundingwa, was 2 years or more than 2 years ago and made a promise for the construction of that school, but nothing has been done till now. And of course, we will talk about the withdrawal of French troops in Mali. The country of Emmanuel Macron has confirmed that it's going to withdraw its troops from Mali after the diplomatic row between the two countries, and the withdrawal will take place within 4 to 6 months, as reviewed by French President Emmanuel Macron. Stay with us. In several parts of the Republic of Cameroon, both urban and rural areas, pupils and students are studying in precarious conditions, and we're going to show you a case in point in this newscast. Government Primary School Ngwele in the Douala 4 subdivision. The Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Tundingwa, after watching a report on Equinoxe Television on the precarious condition in which pupils were learning in that school about 3 years ago, visited the school and promised that classrooms were going to be constructed, but till date nothing has been done there. The children are studying today in conditions worse than what was prevailing there in 2019 when the minister visited. Malaglo report.
Beautiful smiles, unfortunately, might soon be covered with sadness as the rains in a month's time will show its ugly face. Too many students trying to learn in a damaged classroom, uncompleted structure with poor construction materials. It is the government bilingual school Ngwele in the Douala 4 subdivision, created since 2013. The pupils study in very precarious condition, while the teachers work under deplorable condition. Some locals, after waiting in vain for the reconstruction of the school, removed their children from GBS Ngwele for security purpose.
Last year, we had some children that were attending the school right here, because we do live just down here. So from here to the school was somehow close, and they were to be schooling there. But this year, we came to realize that the school is not good for a kid. The building, the infrastructures, all of them are very poor, not really good. They are not encouraging.
According to some internally displaced persons living in the area, the school would have been the ideal place for their children due to the low cost of transportation, but the structure and the environment discourage the parents.
And the school is just close to, it's one of the primary school that is around us here. Yes, so, and many of the IDPs, like I am one of the IDPs here, since because of the school fees here is a little bit cheap as it's government school, so most of the IDPs are locating here. So what we are only begging for the government is to come and help and put a good structure for the children.
The Equinoxe team visited the school and talked with some school authorities who refused to express themselves to the media. The school head teacher on his part, not ready to talk in front of the camera, said the project worth $1 billion for the construction of 26 classrooms will soon begin, as promised by the minister in 2019.
And I am very proud to announce that in the coming budget, we will put personally an allowance for this school to be built.
Of what the minister said in 2019, we have all the details about what the minister said about that school, concerning that school. That was in 2019. Take a listen.
Je remercie Equinoxe pour avoir montré cette école. I want to thank them because they are the one who make me come here.
That's true.
I didn't know about this school, and I saw it on TV, and they say it's a public school. And I was really wondering myself, what type of public school is this? I want, nevertheless, the type of problem we have here. I want to let all Cameroonians know that when the government create a school, the government know that the school is there when they come and build the school. It must not look like this. I will thank those who are citizens of goodwill and who allow young Cameroonians to come to school here. But when the structure is not appropriate, I pray the media men and women to be informed first, because when they present it, it is if it's the government who built this school. The government has never built this school. This is a chief of goodwill who decided to install this school in this old, what do you call it, farm we have here. So we are very, very proud of the will of Cameroonian citizens to have a school in an isolated place where schools are distant, are far away from the place. But we need to exclude the government responsibility when we come to the media and say this is what government built for a school. And I am very proud to announce that in the coming budget, we will put personally an allowance for this school to be built. And I instruct right now my Director of Finance, who will take care of this decision. We came to see it. The Prime Minister knows that we are here. So I want to tell the population of this place, Ngwele, to keep quiet. We will take care of their school. This is the first thing. The second one is that we don't know the landlord of this place. I know the chief is the chief of quartier, but traditionally we have a population which is the landlord of this place. I will ask my delegate to come and meet the DO. They will come and meet the families which are landlords here, so that we can arrange the situation. And I ask everybody to remain quiet. We will build a new school here. This is what I came to tell the population of this place.
That is what Cameroon's Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Serge Tunjingo, said about government primary school Ngwele in 2019. And over 3 years down memory lane, nothing has practically been done in that school. The studying conditions of the pupils has rather worsened, and exposing the children to all manners, all kinds of hazards, or notably things that happen during the rainy season, like floods and even dust and other natural hazards. And of course, we try to speak to the officials of that school who refuse speaking to us on our camera, simply because of pressure from hierarchy, and also because of the fear of the unknown. Even the teachers wouldn't speak to us for fear of punishment from above. We'll bring to you more details on what's happening over there in subsequent news editions. Now to the nation's political capital, Yaoundé. The Minister of Secondary Education of the Republic of Cameroon, Professor Nalova Liong, has promised to construct a new and modern administrative block in Government Technical College, Equinoxe. And Professor Nalova Liong was speaking after fire consumed sections of the administrative block, or the entire administrative block of that school at the weekend. Details with Smart Jikan Gabriel. Smart Jikan Gabriel with that report on a fire incident in Government Technical High School, Equinoxe, in the nation's political capital, Yaoundé, and the administrative block of that institution was consumed by wild flames. And the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Nalova Lyonga, visiting the school, notably indicated that the administrative block was going to be reconstructed and that it was going to be modernized.
Of the Minister of Secondary Education, Professor Plin Nalova Lyonga. Upon her arrival at the Government Technical College, Equinoxe, the Minister of Secondary Education wanted to know the root cause of the inferno that has left the staff and administration of GTC Equinoxe without shelter. The inferno destroyed several office equipment, but thanks to digitalization, some important documents were recovered. Meanwhile, the administrative documents were destroyed by the flames. For the documents destroyed, the minister says the school should do everything possible to retrieve them with the help of a specialized institution within the country. The minister says work must continue at Government Technical College Equinoxe, particularly as it is a period when preparations for public exams are going on. With the destruction of some offices, a makeshift office is being prepared for the principal, while the computer room is being set to serve as a staff room for the teachers. For the section that was destroyed by the inferno, rehabilitation is not the talk of the day, as Professor Plin Nalova Lyonga has promised that a new and modern administrative block will be constructed. It was over the weekend that the fire was discovered at GTC Equinoxe. The joint efforts of the local inhabitants of the zone and that of Army Rescue didn't help as the fire destroyed the building. This is the fifth time fire is attacking Government Technical College Equinoxe, with the cause still to be determined.
The road linking Kribi and Campo in the south region of the Republic of Cameroon is in a very bad state, and the 40-kilometer road or the 40-kilometer distance between the Kribi deep sea port and Campo has been like this for several years, and commuters have been going through thick and thin on that road, and of course the bad state of the road having adverse consequences on the state of the vehicles, the technical state of the vehicles and motorcycles, and of course with consequences on income spent on the technical state of the vehicle. And it is quite difficult for commuters to go through that stretch of road. Sometimes the travelers going through that part of the country are obliged to come out of the vehicle and move on foot for a distance, and sometimes they are also obliged to push the vehicles through some very difficult sections of that muddy road. During the rainy season, the situation is quite complex, and in the dry season there is a problem of a huge quantity of dust inhaled by the people, by commuters who use that stretch of road. France has finally decided to withdraw its troops from Mali within a period of 4 to 6 months, and this follows the diplomatic war between the two countries. President Emmanuel Macron of France indicated that his country is going to withdraw its troops within the aforementioned period of time, and this comes after the military junta in Mali denied giving way for civilian rule. And in the same vein, the 6th European Union and African Union Summit is ongoing in Brussels. The leaders are discussing how to strengthen economic and strategic ties between European and African countries. Details with Immaculate Fogwe.
French President Emmanuel Macron has announced the withdrawal of its troops from Mali after 9 years, but maintains military presence in neighboring West African nations. During a conference in Paris, the president accused Mali's ruling junta of neglecting the fight against Islamic extremists and said it was logical for France to withdraw its troops, since its role is not to replace a sovereign state on the battlefield. France has about 4,300 troops in the Sahel region, including 2,400 in Mali. President Macron said the French pullout will be done in an orderly manner in coordination with the Malian military. France plans closing military bases in the north of Mali, and the withdrawal would take 4 to 6 months. European leaders simultaneously announced on Thursday that troops from the European Union-led military task force known as Takuba would withdraw from Mali. Meantime, the Secretary of State at the presidency, Ferdinand Gongo, will be representing the head of state, President Paul Biya, at the 6th African Union-European Union Summit in Brussels. The aim is to launch an ambitious Africa-Europe investment package taking into consideration global challenges such as climate change and the current health crisis. They will be talking about tools and solutions to promote stability and security through a renewed peace and security architecture.
Coming up in Talking Points, Dr. Gilbert Gindo, historian and civil society leader, analyzes the precarious conditions in which pupils and even students are learning in several schools across the Republic of Cameroon, in both urban and rural areas, with the case of government primary school where the Minister of Basic Education, Professor Laurent Seche-Tunjingwa, made a promise to improve on the learning conditions in that school 3 years ago, but nothing has been done in the school till date. Meet Dr. Gilbert Gindo in Talking Point.
It's government responsibility to provide education to the citizens, and but then when you look at the way government creates schools, in the first place it has to do with government planification, the geographical setup of the territory of the country where schools are supposed to be, and the government goes ahead and sign decrees and create the schools. And when it comes to, on the other hand, the creation of schools does not only depend on government decision on where to create a school, when to create a school. Sometimes it comes from pressure and lobbying from the elite of a particular area or the locals of that particular area. Sometimes in Cameroon we see people who write memorandums or memoranda putting pressure on government that they have been abandoned for some time, either in political appointments or economic developments or social developments. Sometimes this pressure put on the government will make the government create schools, sign decrees and create schools which are at the end abandoned to themselves. Now, talking of this case in Douala, you see, this school was created around 2013, means that it's 9 years getting to 10 years today. Now, when it comes to running a school, there are two ways. You see, the government cannot create school without means. I just think that school has delayed for some reasons we can attach firstly to follow up. I want to think that the minister's visit, whatever surrounded the minister's visit to Ngwele in the Douala 4 municipality in 2019 was very important. Whatever brought the minister there was very important because you can see the personality there, the minister himself, the governor and the others. The way they actually to take stock, to look at the state of things and they see what the government can do. From here now I can begin to apportion blames on why that school has not been developed now. Because if you look at it, in the first place, the minister moves there and takes responsibility. He starts by expressing doubt how a government structure or a government-created school can be at that stage without a structure. The few dilapidated structures that existed there are those that are put up by the locals, especially the quarter head who was there spearheading. It now shows that government created those kind of schools. From where pressure is put on the government creates them, and there is lack of follow-up to actually construct, and they remain like that. But we also call on the localities. We also call on the elite of every locality. Now I am not talking only of the Ngwele case. We're calling on the localities in every way in this nation. We're calling on the elite. We're calling on the representatives of the people who usually put pressure on the government that their areas have been abandoned, and to know that sometimes government has priorities. This school was created in 2013. And the minister went there in 2019 to discover nothing has been done. It means that the loopholes are coming from both angles. From the government that created a school and has not constructed it so that the inhabitants of the area benefit education from there. I even doubt if after creating that school, the government has taken measures to send a teacher there, or the school is as it is created or constructed by the locals.
In 2019, when the minister went there, he said that he did not know about the existence of that school until he saw a report on Equinoxe television.
Let me be very frank with you. From the onset, I can back the minister clearly on that. Take note that that minister may not have been there in 2013 when that school was created. And the decree creating schools is not signed by the Minister of Basic Education in Cameroon. The decree creating schools is signed by the Prime Minister, head of government, not by the minister. So he might have come in when that school was created already. Though, when the school is created, it is supposed to be on an inventory in his ministry. But you know the way ministries function in Cameroon. That inventory may be in his secretariat, it may be in one ministerial department where he has not yet laid hands on. And since the school has never been, the construction of that school has not started from when it was created on paper, the minister may not have come across a file which is demanding construction works in that school. And I think from when it was created to now, I think the minister surely must have been occupied or preoccupied with files dealing with schools that are already on process of construction, or those that are already well established and they are being managed by those the government has sent there. That's in the first place to try to corroborate with what the minister is saying. But on the other way around, when you look at the Minister of Basic Education, who takes duty appointed by the president and comes and then holds a ministerial department and then tells Cameroonians that he saw a government school in a particular part of the country, not just a suburb. I mean, Douala 4 municipality is not a suburb per se. It is Ngwelede, which is very accessible. If such situations are in Ngwelede, then we can begin to imagine what is in the far north, what is in the parts of those inaccessible parts of the south, the northwest, and other parts of this country. So a minister who tells the public that he did not know that a government school exists in one part of the country, of course, a littoral part of the country, then there is something wrong in the minister's own service. He is supposed to have come in and then request for all created schools, request for the inventory of all created schools, and ask questions. When were these schools created? What is the government doing about it? Because appointing him to head that ministerial department means he should take responsibility. The general tendency we have in Cameroon is very unfortunate that ministers who are appointed render accounts only to those who appoint them. Very soon you will hear them saying that they give thanks to the head of state, they give thanks to the president of the republic. Meanwhile, he is supposed to have been productive and let the population recognize what he is doing. It's unfortunate that that is what happened. So at this level, you can see that the minister saying that he did not know that a government school existed in such an accessible area shows that actually the government has a problem there at that level. It has a very serious problem at that level.
During the visit of the minister in 2019, he made a promise. He said everything was going to be done to ensure that proper structures are put up in that school, in government primary school in Gwele. Close to 3 years now, nothing has been done.
There I will still come in to look at it two ways. The first way is follow-up. Follow-up, the minister made a promise right there. When you listen to him talk, he said he's going to ask his financial director, he's going to ask his secretariat, he will send his delegate to come meet the autochthons, the indigenes, and let them struggle to see the situation on how they can be settled for the school to be created. The promises were lofty. They were quite lofty, they were appealing, and they were cajoling. But the problem now is, was there follow-up? Because remember, that man gave the promises and then left to his office in Yaoundé. Where he sits there waiting for reminder. He needs to be reminded. He needs to be called upon that this is what you said in Douala, you're supposed to come back there. But the question we have to ask is, has he been pressured? Has he been asked to go back, look at the promise he said? Has he been asked to go back and then realize what he promised in Douala? That's the first question we should ask as to the promise. Second one is this. It has to come to the nature of the government as of now. There are a lot of priorities that government is attaching its interest to, which are not actually to the interest of the nation. Because schools is what, education is what the minister is supposed to have laid more attention there. But it's surprising that the minister will give such a promise, leave for Yaoundé, and this is getting to the 4th year and nothing is being done. At that level, we question if the minister himself is serious, or those who he assigned that they are going to come back and follow up with him are serious. That's the way I think we'll have to look at it.
Some officials of the school who threatened to sue Equinoxe for coming again to report the unfulfilled promises and the precarious condition in which children are learning today because of pressure from hierarchy, revealed to us that some money has been disbursed, about $1 billion francs for that project, but it's still pending because they want to extend and they have to chase some people away from their lands around the school and of course pay them indemnity. And some of these things are still delaying the project and the children continue to learn in very difficult conditions.
That's exactly why I said the main problem there may be follow-up. Because I think the minister cannot stoop that low to give such a solemn promise and then there is no follow-up. There might have been follow-up, is the sum of $1 billion hanging somewhere. Now the questions we may ask is, why are the authorities of the school angry with Equinoxe Television from coming to actually follow up the promise to see how far the promise has been realized, the promise of the minister has been realized? The second question we should ask is, why is the money hanging somewhere? Because from the promise of the minister, we learned that he is going to send his delegate to bring the SDO, to bring the DO of Douala 4, to meet with the Autochtone, the indigenes of the soil, so that they can sit down, negotiate, agree on how the school will start, the construction of the school will start. Now, where is the problem? It looks like something is somewhere that needs actually to be addressed. And that's something that's somewhere needing to be addressed should be at the level of those who intercede between the minister and the school. Well, I don't want to call names, but I think something is somewhere between the minister, those who intercede between the minister and the school will actually have something to address, because I am sure that the minister himself will be shocked to see that the solemn promise he made in Douala has never been realized up to today, even when the government has taken the pens to disburse such a huge sum for the school to be constructed. Elsewhere in the country, we will see that schools have been abandoned to themselves. The other day I was watching a documentary on a locality in North Cameroon called Tokumbere, where children have been abandoned to themselves, no water, no schools, everything, children live in the house, and government has not even done anything there. This one that the minister went there and took an engagement, and money has been disbursed by the government, and the money is hanging somewhere, it has not reached there. Negotiations that were supposed to be made with the indigenes of the soil so that a site be allocated for the school to be constructed has not yet been done. It means something has to be explained concretely as to what happened with the money the government has disbursed. Definitely there is what we call job satisfaction. In teaching and in learning process, there's what's called job satisfaction on the part of the teacher who is teaching in such a school. I wonder if those teachers are even sent by government, because the government created the school. So I wonder if the teachers are sent by government, or they are just recruited by the community, like you saw the quarter head and other community members around the minister there. So the first problem is this: whether the teachers are recruited by government and sent there, or the community, the locals manage to recruit their PTA teachers, their probationary teachers, and put the first thing in that kind of rough environment, teaching learning process can hardly be satisfactory. On the side of the children themselves, you know, those children, when they live there, they will certainly go to other schools, to neighboring schools, and when they look at the conditions in those areas, believe me, they will compare with theirs, and the psychology is not measurable at all. They are depressed because of where they are studying. They are depressed because their teachers too are depressed. And when the teachers are depressed, that sign or that depression in them transcends, it descends into the children, and believe me, nothing very good. Not the talk less of excellence can come out of that kind of environment.
Exposed to all sorts of natural hazards during the rainy season. Rains, there is trouble. During the dry season, there is still trouble.
There is no season where the children are not affected. During the rainy season, they are exposed to mud, floods, and others and diseases which are pertaining to the rainy season. In the dry season, there is extreme dryness, dust, and other things, and those children will never be in the best of their health. They cannot be.
And that's it for this edition of the 6 p.m. primetime newscast on Equinoxe Television. Thank you for staying with us. Goodbye.